James, the Kennedy assassination, Bonnie and Clyde, and other outlaws. Please don't let us be mistaken. We understand what outlaws are, and we're not trying to glorify them. This museum is the best Billy the Kid museum in the United States of America. We are the sister museum to the Billy the Kid Museum of I-20, Texas. We are in brotherhood with all Billy the Kid museums because the Billy the Kid in New Mexico and the Billy the Kid here, they're all the same Billy the Kid. Now let's go to the grave of Billy the Kid. Here is a memorial grave to Billy the Kid. Many people say that Billy the Kid was killed July the 14th, 1881 in Fort Sumner, New Mexico. That is not the truth. Garrett and Poe both lied. Both came up with conflicting reports. And what you had was a great cover-up, and you had the wrong person buried because you had Billy Barlow buried. So this grave, this is just as much Billy the Kid here in Canton, Texas, as he is in Fort Sumner. Billy the Kid is buried in Hamilton, Texas, on U.S. Highway 281. But this is just a memorial, just to highlight that anybody can put a sign up and say you have Billy the Kid. Billy the Kid died December the 27th, 1950 in I-20, Texas. Also, I'd like to add that this entire museum is dedicated to outlaws, particularly Billy the Kid. But that we stick with our story. He wasn't killed in 1881, and that he did die in Texas in 1950. The Billy the Kid in New Mexico is the same Billy the Kid here. We promote New Mexico. I go to New Mexico 10 times a year. I love it. I go to Fort Sumner. I go to the museum downtown. I go to the museum at the cemetery. I love New Mexico, and I encourage people to keep going. We're not trying to nip New Mexico. We're just trying to tell the truth about what happened. So this is a memorial grave here at the museum, and we are promoters of Billy the Kid, who died under the alias Brushy Bill Roberts. Now let's go into the museum for a tour. The Billy the Kid Museum of Canton is a self-tour, honor-pay museum. Very unique. No one harasses anyone, no one pesters anyone. You can come in and stay as long as you want. We have the honor-pay box here, and people can come in. It's open from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. every day. Every day. So now come in and let's have a tour. Entering the museum is our Buffalo Gap display. Billy the Kid was born in Buffalo Gap December the 31st, 1859. We have a genealogy chart. We have pictures of things like log cabins that are in Buffalo Gap at this very moment. And we have such things as proofs about Billy the Kid, why he was born in Buffalo Gap and why he was Billy the Kid. Going on, we immediately start into the Lincoln County area. My favorite picture here. We have things, this is a print by Don McElvey, I'm very proud to have. Here's a print from Harry S. Truman, President of the United States, who agreed with alias Billy the Kid by William Morrison and Dr. Sampson. We have other things, paintings and such. This is our Lincoln, New Mexico wall, more Lincoln, and San Patricio. You have to understand, Lincoln and San Patricio are places that Billy the Kid really loved. Up here we have a display of comic books of Billy the Kid. Many things in this museum. It's just really a neat museum. I come here myself many times, stay late at night. I love this museum. I love being in this museum. And over here, again, San Patricio. If you were to go to San Pat, these are things you'd see today. These are pictures. So you come to the museum, San Patricio and Lincoln, just like they are today. You can come to our museum and find these things to look at. It's just really wonderful being in the museum. At this time, let's come on around here to this other area. Here is White Oaks. Here's Messia, where Billy the Kid was tried. Here's some Pat Garrett things. We have a lot of things. This is a remnant of Susan McSween's house. when it burned, not the one in Lincoln, but the one in White Oaks. This is our resident cat. And we have many things here that are just beautiful to behold. Here we have, continuing on, this is our Ruidoso area. Ruidoso, Blazer's Mill, Glen Cove, just a lot of Ruidoso things. The old mill where Billy the Kid hid in a flour barrel. And the soldiers came looking for him, couldn't find him. We got our own little flour barrel here. And for Billy the Kid. Remembering Ruidoso's Carmen Phillips, who ran the old mill in Ruidoso until he died. More comic books up there, as you can see. We have an extensive collection of Billy the Kid comic books. On this side over here, we have Fort Sumner. We're very pro New Mexico. This is all Fort Sumner right here, and things about Fort Sumner. We love Fort Sumner. We go there. Have many things to do with Fort Sumner. So when you come in our museum, you can actually go to San Patricio, Lincoln, Ruidoso, Fort Sumner, and you can go on to just everywhere in New Mexico because we promote New Mexico. Right here are some fun things from the Billy the Kid Outlaw gang that we belong to. Some pictures that were taken different times of year. We have campouts every July in the Ruidoso Mountains, and it's nice and cool up there, just wonderful. We highly promote the Billy the Kid Outlaw gang. We belong to the Billy the Kid Outlaw gang. And as I said, when you come to the museum, we have couches and things like that, benches, things you can sit in. I'm going to show you something. You know, this is one of my favorite areas of the museum. This piece of wood came from the actual, original old mill in Ruidoso, New Mexico. You can come in here and touch it, and it's really something. And here's pictures of the Fox Cave where the cowboys like Billy the Kid would take the horses in and out of the rain. My actual two things, I love this right here. Here is a new, and we did not do this, this is independent of us, but someone sent it to me. 51% of the people in this poll now think that Brushy Bill Roberts was Billy the Kid, which means we're on the winning side of this. We're also on the correct side, which is the most important part. We have a couch here that you can sit. On weekends, you can come in here and you can watch videos. We have TVs with VCRs. We have books you can check out and read. Here's the killing of Billy the Kid, July 14th, 1881. Judge Hefner and I in our book. This is one of the chapters. And I just love that. I love to read that book over and over. Billy the Kid, killed in New Mexico, died in Texas. One of the greatest books you can ever read in your life. It is so great that I love to read it over and over myself. Here's a picture of a newspaper from 1883, January 1883 in South Carolina. In it, it mentions Billy the Kid being seen in New Mexico. That's 1883. This is an original newspaper. There were reports about Billy the Kid in 1883. We're not talking about we made it up. It was actual. He wasn't killed, and he did live until 1950. This is the Pete Maxwell bedroom, our Judge Bobby Hefner room. It's dark. It's intended for people to come here and sit on the couch and ponder and think about what happened July the 14th, 1881. There's somebody on the floor dead. There's Pat Garrett and Pete Maxwell, and Garrett has killed someone. Was it Billy the Kid? Or to the Dr. Tunstall room, did he die in 1950? These are my favorite two rooms. And of course we hold that Billy the Kid lived until 1950. I honestly do not understand what's wrong with historians. What's wrong with finding the truth? If you're a true historian, why wouldn't you want the truth? If there were angles out there that need to be probed and need to be investigated, why would you oppose this? Why would you not want to investigate? We go around the world and dig hundreds of feet into the ground, excuse me, probing for bones and artifacts from thousands of years back. Why would we not want to know what happened in our recent history? Why would we not want to know? We should dig everywhere. We should dig at Fort Sumner, of course, and we should dig at Hamilton. But let's take care of New Mexico first. Let's clean up that area, and then come over to Texas. We'll show you where Billy the Kid is. And the more that they oppose in Silver City and Fort Sumner the exhumation of these bodies, the more I know that we're on the right track. Because Billy the Kid died in 1950, and he's buried in Hamilton, Texas. And I'll have to say it to historians, if you call yourself a historian, jump into the investigation behind Sheriff Tom Sullivan and Mayor Steve Cedarwall and Sheriff Gary Graves and Governor Bill Richardson. Jump behind these guys and give them your support. Let's find out the truth. Never again will we have an arrangement where we have so many important people in important places who are willing to look for the truth. And who is opposing them finding the truth? It's not the politicians this time. It's the historians. Why? That's a big question. Probably because there's big lies out there that may be uncovered. Let's move on through the museum, please. Here are some of our Indian displays in the Old West. Most of the people back in those days were outlaws at one time or another. Some were outlaws and they were lawmen, but they were all outlaws at one time or another. The Indians were certainly outlaws in their own country. You can call them a country. We have Bonnie and Clyde displayed here. Very important. There they are in disguise. Had to hide a lot from the police. We have many pictures and several things of Bonnie and Clyde. Probably the favorite that I have here is the last things they saw before they were murdered in Louisiana. And I would like to add that that was pure murder. And but this is the Bonnie and Clyde exhibit. Going over this way, here in the beautiful old Spanish table is when they dug up Jesse James in Granbury, Texas and got the wrong body. May I add this? Jesse James was buried in 1951. And here, just a couple of years ago, we go dig. They know where his body is. It's only been since 1951, and they got the wrong casket. So the possibility of getting wrong bodies and wrong caskets is very great. And I want to add, they did not come up with conclusive evidence that Jesse James was buried in Missouri, and that investigation has a lot to be said for it. Jesse Woodson James, died in Granbury, Texas in 1951. He and Billy the Kid were buddies. Billy the Kid died in 1881. Jesse James died in 1882. Billy the Kid actually died in 1950, and followed a year later, the same order. Jesse James in 1951. 35 miles apart. Their families, Civil War friends. This is a Jesse James, and I'd like to add here that we just adore Rudy Trilly, Joe Wood, Bud Hardcastle from Purcell, Oklahoma. These people brought forth the truth about Billy the Kid. And I'm going to tell you that Bud Hardcastle is living, lives in Purcell, Oklahoma, and he has the proof that Jesse James is the Jesse James that he died in Granbury, Texas. So that's not up for grabs with us. And a lot of people say, well, this doesn't match and that doesn't match. These people were wanted for murder. Do you think they were going to hold anything that said that they're guilty or who they were? They were so busy covering their tracks and lying about who they were other people. And I mean many other people. We will tout, adding to this museum daily, other outlaws like, who is this, Black Bart, and Butch Cassidy, Sundance Kid, and oh my goodness, Pancho Villa. He was an outlaw in Columbus, New Mexico, making that raid. And in parts of his time, parts of his life, actually lived in El Paso, Texas. Here's something that I like. This is Mr. A.A. Norman of Arlington, Texas, who has the chaps of Billy the Kid. He is now dead. Died believing that Brushyville was Billy the Kid. He knew. Here's Severo Gallegos. He knew Billy the Kid in 1981, recognized him in 1949. Goes on and on and on. We have plenty of proofs. Here's something from Ray Martinez, the mayor of Fort Collins, Colorado, talking about Billy the Kid and Brushyville with the same. Here we have a notice poster they had in the museum in Fort Sumner by the graveyard. They had actual postcards with this on it, and I bought all they had there because I knew once I said something about it, they would probably disappear. But it was a notice dated 1882 for thieves and such to get out of the area of Las Vegas, New Mexico. It was dated 1882. Billy the Kid's name right there. 1882, they did in Las Vegas, New Mexico. Here's another lady, Mrs. Abel Martell Abel, I'm sorry. She knew Billy the Kid in 1981 and recognized him in 1949 and 1950. There's plenty of people signed affidavits. You know what really kills me? Pat Garrett wrote a book about his killing of Billy the Kid when actually he murdered someone else. He had to cover himself. Here he kills a guy and it's not Billy the Kid, it's Billy Barlow. There's no poster on him. Therefore, he's a murderer. So it's better to say, hey, I killed Billy the Kid and bury him, than it is to say I'm a murderer and have to stand trial. Then everybody lies. People around Billy the Kid lied to cover him. People around Pat Garrett lied to cover their sheriff. Do you actually believe that with one door, that the sheriff went in and his two deputies let the guy they're looking for walk in on him? Please. If you believe that, I have the London Bridge to sell you and Truth and Consequences in New Mexico. But anyway, we have plenty of proofs that Billy the Kid wasn't killed in 1881 and that Brushy Bill Roberts was Billy the Kid. Here's a picture of vigilante justice that says, killing Jim Miller of Pecos, Texas, show their bodies being hanged. When you killed an outlaw, you took pictures of him. And they didn't kill Billy the Kid, so you couldn't take a picture. This I love because this is my wall of fame, the people that I really hold in high esteem. William B. Morrison and Dr. Sanson, of course, for writing Alias Billy the Kid. William B. Morrison, of course, for all the research he did, he dedicated his life. Dr. William Tunstall, a great man who dedicated his life, is now dead. John Tuscan wrote a great book on Billy the Kid. Judge Bobby Hefner wrote several books on Billy the Kid. Myself and Mr. Ray Hall of Alton, Illinois, the official researcher for this museum, he wrote The Real Billy the Kid, a.k.a. Brushy Bill Roberts, a great book that should answer any question you have about Brushy Bill being Billy the Kid. Great men in their own lifetimes. Here's Billy the Kid and William B. Morrison. You can look at him. That man's proud. They tried to break him in 1950, and they did. They killed him. I'd like to say that this is my Brushy Bill, Bobby Hefner, Dr. Tunstall wall. There's myself and Dr. Tunstall. Here's Bobby Hefner at this museum before we remodeled. And Judge Bobby Hefner. And here's Judge Hefner at the museum at the mountain that we operate on First Monday. I'd like to say, you can look at pictures of Billy the Kid, Brushy Bill Roberts. This one being my favorite picture. I love it. Billy the Kid looked like Billy the Kid. In 1950, when he went before that governor for a pardon, they didn't even read his petition. They just took a little recess, met with a few important people in New Mexico, and came back and said, I'm not acting on this. This isn't Billy the Kid. He couldn't even remember his wife's name. Do you really believe that he was normal doing that? Of course not. He had a stroke, had to lie down. And then he died a month later of a heart attack in Hyco, Texas. And I like to say he was betrayed in 1950 by the second New Mexico governor. And it's time that New Mexico give a pardon to the real Billy the Kid, Brushy Bill Roberts. May I add this little impartiality statement here? Set this scenario. April the 28th, 1881, Billy the Kid escapes from Lincoln County Jail. 2.5 months later, he's killed. Why would he get a pardon? Why would you even think about pardoning him, even if he got a bad trial on Brady? He was in the group that ambushed and murdered Sheriff Brady. As far as I'm concerned, he is guilty of murder. Then he escaped the Lincoln County Jail and he killed Ollinger and Bell. He did kill him. Why in the world, and 2.5 months later, he's killed by Pat Garrett. Why is there any movement at all to pardon this person? A sheriff dead, 2 deputies dead, no repentance of any kind, or I'm sorry I did it, just killed in the room, and you want to give this guy a pardon. I have to say this to New Mexico and anyone else who wants to stand up and say, give Billy the Kid a pardon. It is impossible. It is as impossible to give that Billy the Kid, if you believe that story, that's as impossible to believe as 2 deputies letting the outlaw they're looking for walk in on their sheriff. I'll sell you the bridge, the London Bridge of Truth and Consequences too. I'm going to tell you, if there's any pardon given, it has to be given to Billy the Kid, who died in 1950 in Hyco, Texas. Billy the Kid that lived for 69 years, a fairly decent life. He wasn't perfect. Old ways are hard to change. But he did everything he could to, he plucked turkeys. He picked and pulled corn in the fields. He broke horses. He was a cowboy. He was manual labor. Billy the Kid did whatever he could to stay honest with an honest day's work. And for 69 years, he led a decent life. He should be pardoned. But it is impossible. It is absolutely impossible and immoral to even consider pardoning someone you think was killed July the 14th, 2.5 months later, after killing 2 guards going out. Impossible. So I say to everyone that believes that story, that you must believe that if you're for a pardon, you must believe the Brushy Bill story. And as far as Brushy Bill, he had a stroke in 1950. Read the book, Alias Billy the Kid. I have the copyright on it, intend to come out with the new book in 2004. Read it. Read Brett Hall's book if you really want the real scoop. But don't discount Brushy Bill Roberts. He was Billy the Kid, and as we move on through the museum, I'd like to say that I have some other wonderful things I love here. More things on Brushy Bill Roberts. Billy the Kid days in Hyco, Texas. The last house of Billy the Kid in Hyco. You ought to go sometime and see that house. Just a little old house on a street with no pavement. Just like, looks like he's living in San Patricio 130 years ago. And there I am sitting in his house, Billy the Kid's house. Go to the Jersey Lily in Hyco and eat dinner. I got to tell you folks, you need to go to Hyco. Hyco, Texas is where it's at. There's Judge Hefner there. There's the Billy the Kid Museum of Hyco. Brushy Bill Roberts' house he lived in last. The spot where Billy the Kid died. And it's just wonderful. And I really love the Billy the Kid story. I would like to add one more thing before we conclude some of this. These are pictures of White Oaks. This is the James Bell Memorial Service when we put a headstone. I'd like to thank these 2 guys, Tom Sullivan and Steve Satterwall. They got this fund from the Sheriff's Association of Lincoln County Sheriffs. And we had a wonderful day there in July. They had a memorial service for James Bell and put a nice headstone there. There's Gary Graves of Tobacco County, which is Fort Sumner. A great guy. These are great people. And they are standing up. And I want to tell you something. These men are brave because there are people in New Mexico. Look, let's have some fun with this. We live in an age of terrorism. Our country's involved in a war. Billy the Kid is like, let's have some fun. Here you have George Polka Scott, a great historian, researcher, and man who does the findings of things in the ground with his metal detector. He's great. He's donated many things to our museum, and I really appreciate him. Here's some things he donated to us from the Great House Stagecoach Station. Some bullet shells and things like this that George Scott donated to us, and we appreciate you, Polka. He's a great guy. Here's a little internet thing that you can pull up on the internet, some information. And here's some proofs of from our book. And we just have a lot of neat things in this museum. It's a great place to come. For a big old $1 you get in, cheapest museum price in America, except for free. And good old days, good old times, good old price. So if you want a really enjoyable day, come to the Billy the Kid Museum in Canton, Texas. Stay with us, stay as long as you like. If I'm here or someone's here, you can check out a VCR if you want to watch a movie about Bonnie and Clyde or Billy the Kid or the Kennedy assassination. And we'd like to have you. So come and see us. I would like to add that where our location is, we're 60 miles east of Dallas on Interstate 20. We're 35 miles west of Tyler on Interstate 20. We are between Highway 64 and Farm to Market 859 on the service road of I-20. And as I said before, we're open 9 to 9 every day of the year. And we hope you come and enjoy our Billy the Kid Museum in Canton, Texas. Thank you.